Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 2CTV with another live update from the chaotic situation in the United Kingdom, specifically in England. Disruptions continue. Over the last couple of days we've been seeing riots and protests in Southport, in Hartlepool, in London. Last night, obviously, we talked about what happened in Downing Street. We wanted to actually go through the details of what happened in Hartlepool. We didn't have time because actually following last night, earlier today, we also had some protests outside police stations in Hartlepool. But we can actually go through the details of what's been going on in Hartlepool over the last day or two because of what our Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, has done today. Hello to everybody in the live chat. We'll get your reaction live as usual. In case you are not familiar with what happened earlier today, Keir Starmer, after a couple of days of silence, made a speech about the disruptions, about the protests, about the clashes, everything else. Until today, we had a number of Labour MPs, left-wing activists, political commentators, all coming out to say, where is Keir Starmer? Where is the Prime Minister? They thought that he's not going to make a speech. I knew he was going to make a speech about this. He took it to a whole new level. He generalized every single person who's been protesting, who has a concern about the state of the country, all the attacks we've had, Islamism, foreign migrants, foreign criminals, migrants, and of course everybody else. Disorder, lack of unity. Keir Starmer made his speech saying that he called every single person a thug. Everyone is a football hooligan. Everybody is far right, according to the Prime Minister. He's introduced new measures, given new powers, extra powers to the police, creating new policing units and everything else, treating concerned citizens of this country like domestic terrorists, banning the English Defence League, EDL, which hasn't existed for years. I don't really care if they want to ban them. It doesn't exist anymore. Yes, we had people who were angry, who were causing trouble, they were clashing with the police, but there were also a lot of other people who were also arrested for no reason. Old men, old women. We showed you guys earlier about what happened in Downing Street, right? Let's quickly go to Keir Starmer because he's now going to be introducing new measures. His language, his rhetoric, disgusting, and then we're going to go to Hartlepool.
These thugs are mobile. They move from community to community, and we must have a policing response that can do the same. Shared intelligence, wider deployment of facial recognition technology, and preventative action, criminal behaviour orders to restrict their movements before they can even board a train, in just the same way that we do with football hooligans. And let me also say
before they even get on the train. As we said, no normal person wants more chaos, more division, more hatred. We want unity back, we want harmony back, we simply want order back in society. It works both ways. The citizens of the country and establishment and authorities. It's time to stop spreading more hate and division. We know that. But when he's going around, he's the Prime Minister, and he's going around basically putting everybody in the same category, same box. Anybody who's concerned, calling them thugs. That's not really the right attitude. If he were not the Prime Minister, if he were a normal citizen and saying that about the other side, calling every single police officer a thug, every single politician a thug or whatever, the whole of the BBC, Sky News, the authorities will be on top of it. The Metropolitan Police will knock on your door, calling you an anarchist. This is where we have an issue. So, we also have a statement, obviously, from Jonathan Brash, the MP in Hartlepool, saying, I'm deeply concerned about the situation that is developing in Hartlepool this evening, obviously last night. I will be meeting with police to discuss the response to this incident and would urge calm to allow our emergency services to do their job. These events do not represent what Hartlepool is or the values that our people hold. Violence is never the answer. We know violence is never the answer. Objectively speaking, logically speaking, we have to understand why people are finally imploding. At least you're understanding. It doesn't mean you have to support violence. You simply need to acknowledge it. That's all we are saying. But they're not really listening. This rhetoric from the liberal side saying, these are not our values, these are our values. It's just a very vague statement. What do you mean? So what are our values? Multiculturalism? Division? Segregation? Sectarianism? Hatred based on religion? That's not really helping, is it? That's what they are doing. Christian churches being completely undermined. Nobody's there to defend Christianity. Keir Starmer made an announcement saying he's going to put more taxpayers' money to defend and support the Islamic community. What about the Christians? What about all the others? What happened to the Jewish community? Who's doing sectarianism? Who's doing division based on religion? You can point fingers at a couple of people who are going out there causing trouble, sure. What about the politicians and everybody else? Now let's go to Hartlepool, see what happened. That was just the beginning. The whole thing's been escalating. As I said, last night we have all these incidents. Earlier today, as the media would say, in pockets of Hartlepool, protests continued outside police stations. Nobody is listening to each other. They literally, everybody distrusts everybody in society right now. Even neighbours, let alone the relationship between the police, the authorities and the citizens. What are we going to be doing if nobody from the political establishment, leadership, showing leadership actually? Let's go back to Hartlepool.
They're getting ready for us. They're gonna charge him, what? They're gonna charge him. What? They're gonna charge him. They're gonna charge him. They're gonna charge him. Yeah.
These are terrible scenes. We've been making fun of the French. For every single time a government policy comes out, the French go out there and riot and protest, well, not even protest, riot and attack each other and burn cars and shops. We need to put a stop to this. But as I said, it's a two-way street. Now, we know, as I said, objectively, violence is not the answer. Everybody knows that. Every sane human knows that. Chaos is not the answer. But are these people going to be heard? That is the main question. When Keir Starmer is coming out to put everybody in the same category, calling everybody a thug, even those who didn't go to Hartlepool or to Downing Street to protest. There were people watching this live on CCTV from their homes. They didn't go all the way to these cities. They're being called thugs as well. Grandfathers, grandmothers, they're being called thugs. They're being arrested. Doesn't really help. We need to bring back order, stop violence, stop division, stop hatred. And the establishment, the political establishment, we literally have a representative democracy. We are voting for these idiots to represent us. It's their job. We give them power and permission to lead us. It's their responsibility to bring back order and listen to what we are saying, so to come up with better solutions and better policies. That's why a lot of people are going out the same. The political establishment don't care. At best, they don't care. Some people are saying that this is their plan anyway. And they're not really coming to explain whether they actually do care or not. Let's go back to Hartlepool.
Shit.
Now, so far, the media have been working really hard to do a crackdown on the so-called football hooligans and far-right thugs, right? BBC did a BBC Verify with Mariana Spring to talk about how online hate speech is causing this, everything else. The police and the MPs are coming to say there's a few football hooligans leading these people. Okay, let's go with that. None of them have come out not only to say, what about the others who are there? Again, we showed you earlier the people who were arrested outside Downing Street when they were not actually causing trouble. They were just on the pavement, old men and women. Why are the BBC or MPs in Parliament not speaking on their behalf? That includes Reform UK, as well as some of the Tory MPs who claim to be from the Conservative side of the Tory party. They are very easily, very comfortable to quickly come out to condemn violence. We condemn violence. We are saying that rioting is bad. Everybody knows that. This is the British culture. The rule of law, respect for authority. We get that. I know I made a joke about the French. No disrespect to the French viewers who are watching it, because any French person watching this channel, we know you're on the sound side, you're sensible and you're patriotic. We are talking about the far left in France. We've been making fun of them, right? We don't do that here. Nobody's defending it. We are simply saying, we warned you. We said something like this could implode. You didn't listen. Now, are you going to be listening to us, or are you going to continue the same approach, and more chaos, more protests, more riots are going to happen, and then you're just going to continue to blame one side without understanding that maybe it was your policies that led to this as well? Because the political establishment seems to be very proud of everything they've done over the last 3 decades. The political structure, the media, the education system, and everything else. Surely, now that you're going around saying, clearly these people have had bad education and they're uneducated, they are thugs, bad upbringing. So doesn't that mean that your policies, all your governments, all your parties over the last 3 decades is also to be blamed? Because upbringing, education, all that, society and culture, you were leading that. Since 1997, we've essentially had the same government. We've simply changed the management. And a lot of these people who've been out there on the street, they are from that generation. Whose fault is it? Who's going to be answering serious questions? Now, these disruptions will continue unless they start to hear people out. Let's go back.
Nice one out for you, bro.
Every single thing we've seen, Southport, London, Hartlepool, what we've seen is that a few people turn up from different ages, stand there, start protesting, start shouting. Yes, they might use some mean words, harsh words. They insult the police. Yes. And then the riot police come, start pushing people around. You're going to provoke them. You wanted them, clearly. You wanted a few young men to get angry and lead the others. And then somehow you go and arrest the ones who are not causing the trouble. You go around and arrest those who are just standing on the pavement. How is that normal in a representative democracy that is the United Kingdom? If those who are actually committing crime, fine, arrest them. But also, if a police officer, we showed you that video from Downing Street earlier today. We showed the video about the police officers. 2 examples. One police officer verbally provoking the protesters directly. The other one going around saying, we have received order from the top. That's Sadiq Khan, Mark Rowley, those guys. Arrest anybody. Just pick whoever you want. If we are to hold the protesters to account, the uneducated football hooligan plebs, the thugs, right? That's what they call them, right? All of them. They're all thugs, apparently. If we are to hold them to account, because that's what they are telling us to do, hold them to account. Yes, we're doing it now. If they commit crime, arrest them. Fine. Who's going to hold the police to account? The police officers are going around either provoke or do things that's not normal, let's just say. It's just not normal. Layman terms. The job of the MPs, they're not doing it. It's so easy for them to bring out the riot gear, the dogs, the horses, for these things. Not when it came to Albany and Leeds, for example. Or all the attacks we showed you yesterday, right? From Southend to all the other parts of the UK. The police response is very slow when it comes to those things. Let's get some of the reactions before we see what's going on. Super chat from AFC Man UK. Thank you. Saying Kia needs to take a trip in Eli Copter. The Eli Copter joke's still going. Obviously, we do not condone any sort of a helicopter trip for our Prime Minister, but I get the sentiment. People are angry. Mike says, did you throw your passport in the sea, Maya? Hartlepool, where the locals are so dense, that during the Napoleonic War hanged a monkey because they thought he was French. For the record, that was a different generation. Chris says, my big worry, he's after you and others like you. So Keir Starmer did also in that speech talk about the big tech, talk about YouTube, Twitter, X, and all the others, saying they're going to do a crackdown on all the platforms. So all the big tech platforms are going to be more cautious now. To be fair, they've already been cautious. they've already been doing crackdown on fake news, as they say, or violent scenes, or encouraging, inciting violence. I'm not really sure how much more they can do a crackdown. That's where I get worried, because that means out of context, if somebody says something that's just edgy, but it's not really inciting violence, they could get censored, and it's been happening. That's the worry. Benjamin says, Nigel Farage just posted a statement on X. I'll go check it out, actually. Thank you for letting us know. Let's see what Nigel is saying. Actually, it's a video statement, so I can't really read it for you guys. We'll do another show on that. Thank you very much, Benjamin. Also, super chat, the Muslims are blocking London today. No riot gear. Barbara says, get your family out as soon as possible, Maya. Save your mom before it's too late. You have to fight for the kingdom, of course, but it's not easy. Never give up, never surrender. RAB Photography says Working Class Patriot channel has Tommy videos, and he said his channel is reporting restrictions, saying his video has a violent criminal activity. To be fair, because they are coming for Tommy and the so-called EDL, any sort of reference would be censored, I guess. It's a crackdown coming from the government, of course. It's the order coming from the government. Another issue with the government is that they will use the protesting as examples in the terrorist learning courses in government-owned companies like the local councils, twisting the narrative. This was the globalist agenda from the start. The two-tier policing was so people boil over and then use the violence to bring in the surveillance state. So obviously, Keir Starmer made a speech. In his speech earlier, he mentioned using facial surveillance and obviously recognition softwares to be used to stop the so-called thugs from even getting on the train. Slightly worrying, but fair enough. Fiona says, Maya, we've been shouting from the rooftops for years what is coming down the line, only to be laughed at. What a chilling speech. So that's the thing, as Fiona says, and as I just said also in terms of Starmer and the facial recognition. He says that, and if you criticize the policy, they say you are supporting the thugs or violence. Okay, no. We are literally saying bring back order, bring back unity, bring back harmony. We need the kingdom to be united again. But if you're going out there trying to stop people from getting on the train before they even committed a crime, you are literally trying to predict someone committing a crime. There was literally a movie about this called Minority Report, which they used, obviously that was fictional, so they used their software to predict, to see basically what's happening in the future. But at least even in that movie, a crime has actually happened. This time they're just going to guess that you're going to get on the train to go to London. You might cause trouble, so we're going to arrest you beforehand. That's just a little bit weird. If someone commits a crime, arrest them. We get that. That's not that, and that's actually exactly why these people are protesting in the first place, because you haven't really been doing your job with the foreign criminals and everybody else, grooming gangs and all the others. Arrest them, give them proper sentencing, have justice system, have law and order. Everything will be fine. Thank you, Nina, for your super chat saying, that includes me at 68 years old. The other lady was 73 and others. Disgusting. I was there last night with my husband and dog. I have never ever seen so many police vans in a back road hidden. And four men and one lady and a young lad. Not thugs. They're not going to believe you. Sharing Space says, it's my birthday, have a drink on me. Oh, happy birthday, the Sharing Space, one of our regular viewers on 2CTV. Hope you're having a great evening despite all the chaos. Cheshire Cat says, last night was an orchestrated tactic to allow the snake in charge to push his Marxist agenda. The people walked right into the trap. It's best not to take the bait. Cheshire Cat is right as well. London shut down today. Unannounced Islamic March celebration causing chaos for Londoners who knew nothing. Andrew says, when protesting, stay calm, legal and peaceful. When they try arresting you and you haven't done anything, just peacefully go with them and say thank you. Everyone have cameras overtly and hidden, then post it. This is actually the right approach. You need to hold them to account. Firstly, kicking off and trying to resist arrest is not going to help anything anyway, because they're just going to bring more police officers in and arrest you. You have to take the moral high ground, but also tactically. Make sure everything's being recorded. Don't give them any excuses. And that way, you're the one being peaceful. But if they do something wrong, you have evidence. And it's funny, because we say that, people are going to be like, you're teaching them the dirty tactics. Every single left-wing protest group, the Extinction Rebellion, Just Stop Oil, all these guys, they literally have briefing meetings before every protest. They say the exact same things. But they actually use dirty tactics because they've done their homework. They know exactly what to do. How to, for example, lay on the ground. How to, for example, get dragged by the police so it doesn't come across as they're resisting arrest, legally speaking. They are the ones using dirty tactics. Miamuk says, we are being abused, manipulated and ignored. DMA says, I would have loved to be in the room with Starmer and Yvette Cooper when they had to be told to rewrite the speech why the EDL don't actually exist. Feel free to ban EDL. It doesn't actually exist anyway. It doesn't change anything. Mike says the best bet to put pressure on Starmer would be a national strike, although the unions won't like it, and it's not going to work because not many people in the country would join the national strike. In order to national strike to have any effect, firstly, that's usually, it works well in dictatorships, is if you get like 70% of the population doing it, not like 2% or even 10%. Sigurd says, Piers Corbyn met me as a Jedi Saga with the real lightsaber, keeping you safe, sir. Nibel says, lots of cop cars on our quiet state today. Northeast. Is that Northeast or Newcastle or something else? Thank you. As a UK ex-Muslim, I need people to know that Islam is the problem. As a child, I was taught about the plan to take over the EU and more. Never bow to it. But this comes from the ex-Islamic people. If people start to listen to them, that's a good point. But we're not just talking about the issue with Islamism. We got bigger problems right now. The whole of the state, the whole of the agenda, the media, and the society not being united. The whole thing is a mess. It's not really just about one group or one issue or one policy. Everything is a complete mess. Porky's Discount says, Starmer says these thugs are mobile. I thought, yes, they are normally in white vans or on horseback. Not bad. Mandy says, what's happened to Paul Thorpe? I don't know. He texted me about 2 hours ago. He was fine 2 hours ago. Is it something else happened since then? Actually, it was 4 hours ago. My mistake. It was a while ago. I'll text him and see what's happened. I'm not really sure. Is Tommy going to be in Glasgow on the 7th of September? Not sure, considering he's not around right now. I'll find out if the situation changes. Martin says, who is looking after Bumban? My sister. My sister Naz is actually doing that for now. We'll be back in London on a Saturday, of course. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining. Hopefully this was informative, educational, and not too annoying. Actually, the one last stupid chat from Nara Buffy from the European Union, saying beautiful trouble. What? A toolbox for revolution is online, and it's Antifa playbook. All the moves are played out in British public life in front of all. Yep. And one final one, they keep coming in. Mel, randomly choosing innocent people to arrest while you have those, you create turmoil in the streets. How is this making any sense? It doesn't, Mel. It doesn't. Nobody in the media is actually asking that question, by the way. That includes GB News, for example. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. I'm Maya 2C, and we are the media.